So after you drain your oil from your pump and run it through the Harvest Right filter, sometimes you'll notice that the oil still retains some of that cloudiness and even maybe some water. And these pitchers, you can buy replacement filters which go on there, and that helps. But when you hear the motor running in there, the oil is what's lubricating those parts. And just like your car motor, if any contaminants get in there, it can cause premature wear and even the motor to wear out. So it's vital to keep the oil at the right levels and also clean and filtered. And so I wanted to take it add an extra step to filter this oil and remove any of those extra contaminants in that water and even the smell. And this is how I did that. I started with a 3-inch piece of ABS pipe from Home Depot. And this was 3 feet long initially, but I cut it down to just under 2 feet. I wasn't exact because it just has to be big enough to catch that much oil or even more, but you don't want to overfill your bottle, obviously. And then the second piece I bought was this little 3-inch to 2-inch adapter, also by that black pipe. This is all part of plumbing, which you can use white if you wanted to. I guess you could use the white PVC 3-inch, whatever, but this is going to be part of your filter. And then the third thing I bought here is paper towels. These are shop towels. I use these because this is actually what's going to be doing the filtering, and it's kind of like the oil filters in cars that you have to replace every few thousand miles. They kind of have almost a cardboard type material inside, and so that's what this is. This kind of follows that same concept. These are a little bit more expensive than regular paper towels, not a whole lot, but they work well. Like I said, they don't shed, they're tighter, and they work well for what we're going to do here. I got a wide mouth bottle here. This is the 2-quart. I got the lid, and I use some epoxy, just regular 2-part epoxy you can buy, and it you have to mix it. Once you mix it, I put this on there, and I ran the glue down on the inside of that, waited it for it to dry, turned it over, and did the same. Maybe that was overkill. You can even use a different glue, but whatever you do, you want to make sure that's on there tight, and that's not going to break up, because when you're done, you're going to take it and it goes on top there, just like that. So the paper towels, what you do next is you roll out. You can see they're in sections. What I've done is I've rolled out 16 sheets. You can leave them attached, and when you're done rolling them out, I'm just going to do this with one so you can see. You do it into thirds or fourths. I'm sorry, just like that. Okay, except with 16 sheets, this is going to be long, and then you roll it up tightly, really tight, like a cinnamon roll. But you have to be really tight, and when you're done, it's going to look like that, and that is your filter. And what you're going to do next is, if that's really tight, if it won't fit in there, then you might want to re-roll it a little bit tighter. But like I said, I use 16 sheets, and I'll show you. Once that gets on there, you kind of have to compress a little bit to get in there. But the reason you want it so tight is because you don't want any oil getting down in between the edges of this. I'm kind of doing this one-handed. I should do this the other way, but once you get done here, this just pushes down in there really tight. And once you put the oil in this that will actually expand a little bit. So this isn't perfect. I mean, I could do this a little better, make it more even. But the one thing we don't want is when we're filtering, we don't want that to fall out, because that's going to get really heavy. Hence the 3-inch to 2-inch adapter. So just like that. And there is your filter. Next, I got my little light here. Move it out of the way. You take your oil and you just fill this up. You don't necessarily want to fill it all the way up. Start small so you don't overflow that when it starts filtering. It's as simple as that. And you can see at the bottom there some of those particulates I was telling you about. I didn't want that in my freeze dryer after I recycle this oil. Some people throw this oil away. This is an excellent way to reuse it effectively over and over. And really that's it. So what's going to happen after some time is this is going to start filtering through there, and it's going to drip slowly, little bit by little bit. We'll come back here and show you just how crystal clear the oil is. So we'll come back with a follow-up, and I'll show you what it looks like. So the oil has drained through that pipe, through the filter our little homemade filter, and into that bottle. This is a oil that I drained out of the pump. There's actually a couple of drains in there, and it's already drained through this Harvest Right filter. And admittedly, I probably need to replace mine, but I wanted to just show you the difference between the oil that comes through this first filter and then the filter I created. So I'm just going to take this little portable light, put it right here, and you can see that it's a little bit cloudy, a little bit of residue on the bottom. So that can probably be recycled into your pump. That might actually get a little clearer if I replace my filter, but the one thing I notice is when it's cloudy, it often means it has a little bit of a smell to it. And I'm very picky about how my food tastes, and sometimes if the oil smells weird, it gets into the food, and I don't like that. So this is a way to solve for that problem. I'm going to move this light over here so you can see the difference in the clarity. You can see how much clearer that is. I mean, it is almost crystal clear, other than the blue color. It's because I use the Dairyland oil. I've been using that for years, and it works great. So now we have crystal clear oil again, and you can do this, like I said before, with any of the oil, the Harvest Right oil, the Rubinair oil, any kind of vacuum oil. And I'm going to turn this off and show you the last step. So the last and final step of this process is getting rid of the smell. So to do that, I took a fish tank pump, an aquarium pump, and I've got it plugged in. I just picked that up from Amazon for like 10 bucks or something with a line. On the end of this is, of course, the little bubbler right here. There it is. And I see it's dripping a little bit because I had it in here, but I've got this zip tied to a little bamboo skewer, and that's to keep it suspended in the liquid. This is obviously going to go into here, and if without that skewer, it's just going to float to the top, and I'll show you how that works. So unscrew this. Take this little contraption. Like I said, there's a zip tie at the bottom and a zip tie at the top. I'm dripping oil. Have to clean that up. That's okay. And I just put it in, and the cap goes right there, and this just kind of protects the oil and lets the air escape. Because as you can see, I'm going to get my light out again. That is bubbling air into that oil, almost like it's trying to carbonate the oil. What this is doing is it's cleaning up the smelly gases in the oil through a process called aeration. So those little bubbles will continue to bubble, and this will actually get cloudy eventually because there's so many bubbles in there that are being created, and as they rise to the top, it pulls those molecules out. And so once this is, I leave this like this for several days. This doesn't use a lot of electricity. It's very friendly on your power bill, but the longer you can let that run, until the smell is gone or greatly diminished, the better. And then after you're done with this, you can just take this lid off here and put a regular lid on it and store it, and then it stays nice and clean. On the bottle that I took apart, I can take this and put this back on here, so if there's any drips, it drips into there, and you just repeat the cycle. It goes from here to here to here, and then back and forth, and you always have clean, fresh oil. Now, just to clarify, the oil, if you've used something really pungent like garlic and onions, something like that, or hot peppers, doing this doesn't always get rid of the smell. Some of the oil, some of those really pungent foods, you almost have to replace the oil. There's no way around it. I've let this pump run for days and days, and it still doesn't. So it depends. I guess it depends on how sensitive you are and if it bothers you. But anyway, hope this video helps. If you think of anything else that to make this a better process or easier, whatever, feel free to comment. But thanks for watching.